Chapter 1: The Trail of Loss. The sun burned high in the merciless sky, casting waves of heat over the dusty plains. Buzzards circled above a wagon lying broken on its side, its wheels splintered, the canvas torn. Near it lay the lifeless body of a woman, face pale and still. Beside her, a young girl, no older than 10, sat cross-legged in the dirt. Her cheeks were streaked with grime and tears. She didn't cry anymore. She'd run out of tears 2 days ago. Her name was Ellie, and she hadn't spoken since the morning her mama stopped breathing. She clutched a worn rag doll against her chest, eyes dull and distant. The occasional creak of the wagon in the wind was the only sound for miles, until hoofbeats approached. From the dust came a lone rider. He was tall, dressed in worn leather and a dust-covered hat pulled low over his eyes. A scar traced from his cheekbone to the edge of his jaw, and his eyes were the color of storm clouds. He dismounted in silence, his gaze taking in the girl, the woman, the wreckage. He knelt beside the mother, checking for a pulse he already knew wasn't there. Then he turned to Ellie. She looked up at him, too tired to flinch, too numb to care. But there was something in the cowboy's eyes, not pity, not fear, just a quiet kind of knowing. Oh, he held out his hand. Ellie hesitated, then placed her tiny hand in his. He helped her onto the horse and said nothing as he climbed up behind her. He never told her his name that day, but in town they called him Boone Carter. A man with a reputation for silence and a past soaked in blood. Chapter 2: Shelter in Dust Creek. The town of Dust Creek was no place for saints. It clung to the edge of lawlessness like a man dangling from a cliff. Saloons outnumbered schools, and gunfire rang louder than church bells. Yet it was the only place Boone knew, and the only place he could offer shelter. Boone brought Ellie to an abandoned miner's shack at the edge of town. It was sparse, but it had a roof and a fire pit. Over the weeks, Boone spoke little, but his actions built a kind of trust. He made her meals, patched her shoes, and let her ride the old mare around the hills behind the shack. And slowly, Ellie began to smile again. But Dust Creek didn't take kindly to children raised by men with outlaw blood. Boone had once ridden with the Darrow Gang, a band of rustlers and killers. He'd left that life behind, but the whispers never stopped. One afternoon, as Boone was repairing the fence, a woman appeared at the gate with a rifle slung over her shoulder. She was tall and broad-hipped, her auburn hair pinned back with stubborn defiance. A scar marred her left forearm, a memory of some battle she never spoke of. "I heard there's a girl living out here with a man who don't talk much," she said flatly. "That true?" Boone stood, dusted his hands, and gave a small nod. "I'm Clara Mays," she continued. "I run the schoolhouse and make the best cornbread this side of the river. Thought the girl might like some books." Boone didn't respond, but he didn't stop her either. Clara entered, and that day, Ellie found her voice. Chapter 3: A Woman Who Wouldn't Leave. Clara became a fixture in their lives. She came with books, blankets, and stories, and Ellie clung to her like a second mother. Boone never said it aloud, but her presence softened the shack, made it feel less like a graveyard and more like a home. Still, Clara was no fool. "I know who you are," she told Boone one evening over cornbread and beans. "I know what you've done." Boone looked up from his plate. "Then why are you here?" Clara's gaze didn't flinch. "Because I also know what you haven't done since." She paused. "And that girl in there, she ain't gonna make it on your silence alone." Boone's jaw clenched. "I ain't no hero." "No," Clara agreed. "You're not. But maybe you don't need to be." Chapter 4: Ghosts from the Trail. The piece they carved was fragile. News spread that Judd Merritt, the last surviving member of the Darrow Gang, had broken out of Yuma prison Judd was known for cruelty wrapped in a silver tongue, and rumors said he was hunting down every man who'd left him behind, including Boone. Boone knew it was only a matter of time. He began training Ellie how to shoot. Clara fought him at first. "She's a child," she snapped. "She's my responsibility," he replied. "And there ain't nothing kind coming over that horizon." One evening, as a storm brewed and the prairie smelled of lightning, Boone saddled his horse. "I ride tonight," he told Clara. "To face him alone." Boone nodded. "He won't stop till I'm gone." Clara stepped in front of him. "And what about Ellie? You'll leave her without a word? Without a goodbye?" Boone's face twisted with guilt. "I ain't good with words, Clara. But I care. More than I thought I could." Tears welled in Clara's eyes. "Then don't leave us behind." He paused. For the first time in years, the silence hurt more than the truth. "I ain't leaving for good," he said. "I'm just making sure the past don't steal the future." Chapter 5. The Final Reckoning. The meeting came at the Devil's Teeth, a jagged ravine east of Dust Creek. Boone waited, with a rifle across his lap. Judd arrived grinning, gold tooth glinting in the moonlight. "Well, well," Judd drawled. "Boone Carter, thought you turned preacher or nursemaid." "You came for blood," Boone said flatly. Judd smirked. "I came for you. You left me in that fire while the marshals closed in. I crawled out with burns and a grudge." They circled each other, the night thick with tension. Boone's shot came fast and true, but not before Judd fired two. Both men hit the ground. Boone's shoulder bled, but Judd lay still, his heart pierced. Chapter 6. Redemption's Edge. Boone stumbled back into Dusk Creek 3 days later, half-conscious, bleeding and feverish. Clara was waiting. She nursed him through the worst of it, never once leaving his side. When Boone awoke for real, Ellie was curled asleep beside him, clutching his hand. He tried to speak, but Clara put a finger to his lips. "You did enough," she whispered. "Now let us do the rest." Days turned to weeks. Boone healed slowly. The townsfolk, seeing his sacrifice, began to soften. The sheriff stopped treating him like a criminal. The blacksmith offered to fix the fence. Even the saloon girls called out greetings. Boone still didn't talk much, but he didn't need to. Epilogue. A place to belong. 2 years later, Dusk Creek was different. The schoolhouse had been rebuilt with a new wing thanks to Boone's carpentry. Ellie was top of her class and had 2 braids and a pet goat. Clara's cornbread won a blue ribbon at the fair. And Boone? Boone built them a proper house with a porch, a swing, and a garden Clara tended every morning. He and Clara never spoke of marriage, but everyone called her Mrs. Carter anyway. No one questioned it. At dusk, Boone would sit on the porch, Ellie nestled beside him, and Clara rocking gently with a book in her lap. The past had not been erased, but it had been faced. And sometimes, on the loneliest of trails, redemption found a man not in a church, not in a bullet, but in a child's hand and a woman's love.